Welcome to the Raj Kotecha Show, #1 podcast in Dubai. And in today's episode, it's the last episode where we are all physically together. We're going to be talking about the birthday party and some of our highs from the year. The only people that can talk about that are people that have been through every single step of it, including, as always on the show, Vic.
What up?
And Alex.
What's up?
How you feeling?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, recovered. Probably not recovered as well as you have because you're 18, and me and Vic are.
I'm tired, man.
Yeah,
I'm
I
so
know you
tired
are.
today.
Yeah,
It's unusual like
Yeah.
this, but I'm really tired today. But all worth it.
yeah,
All
super
worth
show.
it.
Yeah, super show. Very focused. We give mad love to everybody who came to the party. We break down the party and what we loved about it, and it's a very different perspective because at the time we're very much in it. So now we're able to reflect, especially having seen a lot of the pictures and content that came out off the back of it. And then we also talk about some of the highs from this year, not just in terms of starting the podcast, but since Alex joined us as an intern and just overall navigating the last 12 months. It's our last episode physically in a room together here in my apartment. Before we all head off to different countries, you're going to hear where we're going and how we're going to keep the podcast going in the meantime. If you're enjoying this show, or if you've enjoyed this show before but not subscribed yet, make sure you subscribe on YouTube. Also hit the notification bell to get new episodes first. Leave us a comment and a like because that helps with the algorithm. Spotify gang, if you're watching or listening there, 5-star ratings would be incredible, and 5-star rating and review on Apple would mean the world to us. Alex, in the physical same room as me for the last time, run the music. All right, let's get into it. So here we are. All right, the party's done. The season's done. We're all done here, basically, in Dubai. We're all leaving. We all start going our separate ways in the next 24 hours. And so we thought it'd be a great idea, first and foremost, to give our gratitude to everybody who made the end of season party that we did 2 nights ago on Saturday night for my birthday. Give thanks and love to those people. So we're going to send this out to everybody who registered. And big up to everybody who came through. We've got some highlights from the event. So I mean, maybe we'll start with you, Vic. Vic looks the most ready.
Do I?
Yeah. Well, I looked at you, and then you looked at Alex, and I don't know if you're looking at him as in like you want to go first, or you have no idea what you're going to say, and hopefully Alex will step in.
Well, a combination of both, but let's go.
Okay. So yeah. So obviously, to recap, big shout out to everybody. This is a bonus episode, as we probably mentioned in the intro. Where we're just going to recap the birthday party and some highs and lows. Not even lows, just highs.
Yeah.
We're going to recap the highs from earlier on this year since we started this podcast. But yeah, it was a good party, Vic.
Yeah, it was good, man. I think so. Overall, I think it was an amazing party, amazing bunch of people. We had a really good turnout this time round. Not this time round, but we had a really good turnout. I think the number was probably around 200 people in and out.
Yeah.
Which I was really happy with. So it meant that throughout the night it was a consistent number and the vibe was good, the energy was good. Alex, you did an amazing job on the footage, so I'm really happy with that.
Thank you.
In terms of like some of the kind of bigger highs, your boiler room set that worked out really well. Like the way it started, not to like kind of maybe step on your toes if you wanted to talk about that, but that was a real highlight because it worked.
Yeah.
Like when we looking back at the footage, when you're there, you kind of get it, but when you look back at the footage you see something different, and that really worked. The way the lights were, the way the people were behind you, that was a real high point for me for that night.
I think for me as well, like the way that it works with that, and you're definitely not stepping on like one of my subject areas, but like one of the things that I liked about that, I guess one of the reasons why I appreciated that, and one of the reasons why I even thought to myself like how are we going to do anything better than what we did on Saturday night, is because leading up to the party, I was even saying to Vic, I was like, maybe this should be my last year doing gigs. And I also said something else which was important, which is I feel like this might be one of our best gigs ever. And the fact is, it was a very simple gig, not much in the way of like, fancy frills, extras. We literally brought in the lights and AV ourselves and turned the second floor of a cafe into a rave, really, like what felt like a warehouse party. We invited everyone from across the city, regardless of like their background, what they do for a job. Everybody brought their A game and brought like an incredible energy. But what was really special about that, you're right, when you see it on camera, it even blew me away as well. Like that, and then we saw the GoPro footage as well this morning, which was also incredible. But it's different for me because typically what happens is when I go into a venue, I'll walk in the venue and I'll look around, and you know, like the way I see a gig is like it's almost like ghosts show up, like the ghosts of every single person that's ever been to one of my gigs, or the ghosts of every bouncer, the ghosts of every barman, and when I walk into a venue, they show up. So like they populate the room, all of them, like the over the top tall guy, the drunk girl, like you just see them all. And then you come up with this vision, and then that's when it typically leaves my mouth. And I'm like, you know what we could do here? We could do this, and it comes out. And then obviously at that point, Vic and I will just like mess around with the concept and be like, yeah, could it work? Could it not? And if it works and we're both with it, then that's typically what we end up doing. But this actually ended up being that, because the first time we walked in, we talked about the DJ booth being at the back of the room.
Yeah.
We actually ended up reverting back to that, having moved the DJ booth to a couple of other places, at least from a feasibility perspective, and we ended up scrapping that. And then, it just worked out incredible. But that's actually my process. It's like, it's not nothing like corny, like, you know, like in the movies where like these different like CGI elements come in, but it's similar. And it was nice that, and then I guess the point I'm trying to make is that then what happens is you steadily make compromises along the way. And at the end of it, net, at the end of the Excel spreadsheet, you either saw your vision, you got to realize your vision as a creative, or you didn't. And I think at this event, I really got to realize like my vision. And what made it even better is like that there was a bunch of reasons why I wouldn't. Like, for example, I wasn't there at the beginning of the process. Like, I had an idea of the venue, but we didn't close the venue. We didn't realize we were going to get as much support from One Life as we did. So shout out to Najib and the whole gang over there. Like, it was, they gave us a ton of support. Like, when I say support, I mean like real support, like capital support, time support, energy support, access support.
Well, and also the freedom to do stuff as well, which I think is important. There was very few, if any, restrictions in kind of wanting to realize what we wanted to do. And that I think is super important, because, you know, with venues, it's like, oh, you can't do this and you can't move that, and the light has to be there and the people need to be there and the bar is like this. It's like, nah, they were like cool with basically everything.
Yeah.
Like C-Boy, they had like events going on, and C-Boy was like, no, we can.
C-Boy's the in-house resident DJ.
Yeah.
He's the in-house DJ and resident AV guy. So shout out to him and Farai, the manager.
Yeah, and they basically just were with everything. Like, we'll move this here. Okay, you want to move it back there? You want to put this speaker there? You want to do that there? We'll put more XLRs in to connect the speaker to the house. Like, they basically just accommodated everything. Yeah. And that you don't get very much in venues. Yeah. There's too many restrictions.
Yeah, the XLRs, he means cables. Like, we just brought in whatever hardware we wanted to put in. So they were down with it, and it was really cool, and we just got like, you know, massive support from them. So big shout out to them. You know, they really, and what's interesting about Najib is he's basically just one of us. Like, he's just a 40-year-old hip-hop dude. He loves music. I had this really cool moment with him. I didn't get a chance to hang out with him as much as I'd like to have, but I was like, he came over, he said, what's up? Then I came from around the DJ booth, and I said, yo, thanks, man. Like, thanks for letting us use your space and create this and all that. And he goes, no, it's wicked, man. I'm having a good time. I love this record. And then he goes, and I love the next record too. And I was like, what? And you just started bringing in your next record, not even to the point where I'd even noticed the next record coming in. But if you're actively listening to the music, you're instantly aware as a nerd what the next record is. And he was actively listening to the music on the dance floor. So I was like, oh, this is a guy who's really like from the culture. Like, he really understands. He's actually enjoying this music the way that a hardcore music fan or connoisseur would. So I think there was so many cultural elements about it that was really good. You know, there was a few things that were like quite casually done, which brought some challenges, but it was in that casual nature and in that freedom that we were able to do even more stuff. And as you rightly mentioned, when we actually did invite people to the DJ booth to come and party with us, and they came, the whole venue moved behind the DJ booth. And we just had this series of just like really epic, beautiful moments. And I know for a fact that anybody who was in the room at that point experienced something that was very spiritual, very beautiful. And, you know, it's great for me as well, because just to my right, our friend Nana was there. Oh, mate. Yeah. And I was so on beat with him and vibing with him. It's funny, somebody sent me a clip, and it was the transition that we went into Cardinals record. Yeah. That Notice You, Noticing Me, Dangerous.
Dangerous, yeah.
And somebody sent me that clip. They didn't even publicly post it. They just sent it to me on DM as a video clip. And I sent it to Cardi. And he was like, yo, and it's like, you know, it was nice to be able to share that moment with him, because I wanted to play that record not because he's a friend, but I like the record. And then, you know, to see that moment get captured, and you don't realize when you're DJing what records you're playing, you just play. Yeah. And I gave like a shout out to Toronto because Nana was next to me and it was like full circle. And then when we had Cardi on the Sugar Hill Gang podcast, Nana was at my flat.
Yeah, I remember.
And jumped on the podcast and said hello to Cardi. And Nana's from Toronto and knows the whole like Northern Touch days or whatever. It was just incredible, man. It was just a really, really nice moment. Just so much stuff went well. And obviously shout out to you guys as well, like for putting in some hardcore work before I was here, because making those decisions is difficult, as I'm sure you realize, right? Because I think at least in Dubai, more time I've fixed the venue and the high level deal. This time Vic came in and went through 6 or 7 venues, multiple site visits, had to calculate, okay, this. And we actually ended up with probably 2 venues that would have been great. We ended up with One Life. That's the one that we chose, which was great. But we found ourselves with a bunch of options, a bunch of relationships. Very, very, very good. I stole your thunder there. Sorry, but
no, it's cool, man.
I really as a creative, it's frustrating between what's in your head and what you get to see, and that's one areas where I do get a little bit super passionate. Subsequently, though, if you do get your vision realized, it generates a type of internal happiness that is hard to explain. Do you know what I mean? So I was very, very happy with it. The trade-off for me personally is I didn't get a chance to spend as much time with people. And I know that a lot of people came, and I know a lot of people, I also thought like, some people came for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, then left. And you can look at that and be like, oh man, did we really engage people? Did they stay? But on the flip side, Dubai is back and people had 2-3 places to hit. And so the way I look at it is, even if someone came for 30 minutes, at least they came, they said, I want to show you love. I wanted to get a picture to put on social media, which so many people put pictures on social media. I apologize to everybody who gave a gift. I have some names on some gifts. I came back with bags and bags of birthday presents. I don't know who gave what. So if you gave something, just drop me a DM and say what you gave, if it didn't have a name on it. And anybody who did leave their name on it, I'll drop you a text. I'm really, really grateful. But thank you. Some incredible gifts. We'll show the plate actually before the end of the day, because this girl Irina spent 5 hours making that plate by hand.
Jeez,
sick plate, honestly.
Sick,
yeah, it's amazing.
In fact, when you carry on, Vic, I'm going to get the plate. Keep talking.
Yeah. So one big thing for me, actually, you're talking about the people, and I normally, on your birthdays, obviously I'm usually DJing the most, like in terms of number of hours, and I didn't get to spend really any time with anyone in the crowd, which was a shame, because as the kind of time has gone on, I've got to know a lot more people in the community. But a lot of people came up and showed love. But what was really amazing was actually there's like a whole range of people. So although there was like one collective energy, and there was just like a whole bunch of pockets of different types of energy, because all the different types of people bring their own energy with their own crew. And that was like kind of a weird juxtaposition, but I liked it. Does that make sense? So you've got like a crew over there that dance and party like this. You've got a crew over there that do that. You got some people that came on their own. Like people just came
there were
solo just to like and hang out. And they hung out like, they just like Carolina.
Yeah.
Like the people were just like there for the night. Zeba came out on her own.
Yeah.
Just like it was really cool like to see that. And another big highlight for me was the Anand Murthy shout out.
Yeah.
Yeah, damn. So, that didn't work out. So, shout out to Anand as well. Like he really was like mad supportive from the beginning, and we're not friends. We're friends through the show, but like the group chat podcast, which is collectively probably our favorite podcast that we listen to, and he's such a good dude,
Yeah. So the actual shout out on their show for your birthday.
Oh, that's what you mean.
So, no. So that I heard already, and I'd heard that on Friday because I'm a Kathy, and this is what they call their listeners. Like I listened to it on the day it's released, so I heard that shout out. But I didn't know about the Anand one, of course. And then that didn't work out when you tried to play it on the phone, but then you played it in your set, or just before I played. And
I tried to, and it failed.
Yeah.
So I tried. So I mean, I'll send this clip to Anand, but like what happened was he sent me the clip, the audio clip, and when you listen to it on your phone, it sounds loud enough. But then when you put it up against a microphone, it didn't go through the speakers. Yeah. And you've only got one shot to do it, because there's people looking at you being like, yo, what you doing? And it's very much like an in-joke with us, because it's for our crew, specifically just the 3 of us. So it's like you've got one shot and it didn't work. And then we end up playing the Drake record, which is a slow-paced record. So it was a kind of a bit of a trade-off. There was some stuff that didn't work, but overall, like being able to play like the intro before it came on, it's just cool, like it's something that not everyone's going to get. Not even like our immediate like siblings and partners and all that are going to get, but it's like, it's just some fly shit that
No, but you ended up
matters to
playing
me.
it through your Soreto.
Yeah, you did after.
No, so I did the group chat intro.
Yeah, the group chat.
But I didn't
one,
get
not
to play the one that was
yeah.
for Anand for Vic Love Soul. That's the one I'm talking about. I played that to you in the car. Do you remember?
No,
Yeah.
I think you also played it there actually.
No,
Yeah,
I
you
didn't.
did.
I think
Where
so.
he says play that Drake.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
you
did, I
played
didn't-
it.
No, I didn't.
That's how I know about it.
No, you don't, because I tried to play it in the mic and you didn't know what was going on.
Yeah, but
And in
you-
the car afterwards, I played it to
Sure,
you.
but you played it in the set.
Yes, you played
You
it.
dropped it in your
yeah.
set.
But you didn't play some Drake after.
No, I didn't.
No, that's the point I'm making.
Both
Yeah,
you guys
yes.
are wrong. No.
No.
Because it only
Check the
exists on my.
footage.
I'll check the footage.
We'll
you,
check it,
You
yeah,
check
yeah,
it. Like
yeah.
it's. I that clip only exists because normally I would download it, this, that, and the third. Right. This is actually me and Anand on WhatsApp texting. So he texted me the clip. So I tried to play it off of WhatsApp.
Yeah, I get that.
And
Oh,
it-
so I don't know then.
So it
I
couldn't
don't
have
know.
played through the main system.
But I have a feeling we're on the
I
same
think we might be
wavelength.
right.
No, you both had.
What did he
too
say in
many
that
shots.
clip? Did he say play that Drake?
Yeah, and you know that because you heard it in the car, and in your mind you've mashed it into the gig, but it didn't happen during the
No,
gig.
I feel like I heard the same thing at the gig and in the car, and I think you played it twice.
But it doesn't exist on my laptop. It doesn't
Okay.
exist.
We'll
in
check- we'll
Serato.
check afterwards.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows? Yeah.
Either
way,
thanks to everyone for staying with us on that.
Yeah,
But yeah, no. So me and Anand were like DMing last night on Instagram as well. Just
Nice.
Like he goes, oh, it's so close, and then I said like you need to get out here and stuff. So
yeah.
but yeah, thanks a lot to the group chat guys.
Yeah.
And thanks for hooking that up, Raj.
Yeah, it's all
and
good,
thanks
man.
to Anand for sending a more personal message. What about you, Alex?
Yeah, because I'm keen to see what you think, because this closes the full circle now. Now you've done one of my birthday parties.
Yeah, so I actually really enjoyed it, and one really good thing I noticed is that I felt a lot more comfortable being in the room with a camera and around a lot of people, because I remember the first one we did at the Edition. That was the first party I recorded, and it was kind of like you don't know the boundaries. It's the first time you see a lot of these people. You don't know who you can record in like what circumstances and everything. So I think being like this being the final party, I really saw that like I was more comfortable being in the room. Kind of gave me freedom to like be myself and do what I needed to do.
And you were working 3 different cameras.
Yeah, I mean,
3 different cameras trying to capture 3 different things as such. So there's some dexterity in that. And that was good.
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. It was cool.
He had an old school camcorder. He had a GoPro, and he had the Sony A7, which is it's difficult, especially when you got to take your eye off some of them and just trust that they're going to be okay. And yeah, you're right. And people recognize you now, right?
Yeah, that's that's another thing. A lot of people say hi. I didn't get a chance to speak to a lot of people that I saw, but it was cool. Yeah.
That's always the tricky part of these events that we do, like just being able to like hang out with people or interact or talk to them in any meaningful way, because usually it's like, for me personally, I'm either DJing or running back and forth trying to figure something out, and like people stop you and whatever, and it's like you almost feel rude because you're like, hey, how's it going? Great to see you, but I've got to go somewhere because I've got to go speak to someone, or there's something happening, or I've got to get on the decks, or you need something, or you might need something, like there's always that. So you kind of feel a bit bad, but
I think what I'd like to do is host parties. Like do a little. I'd basically do the format of my birthday, but for all parties moving forward, which is at some point in the night I'll do a set, let Vic do the music, let somebody else do the music, and then when either of us is not DJing, we're actually able to hang out with people, because people actually come out to hang out with you. And the most extreme example on the night was, for example, we set up and the laptop wasn't plugged in. So it was the laptop was set 18% away from switching off. And you told me, yo, go get the charger. So I was like, okay, so I'm going to get the charger. And the shape of the room was an L shape. So you have to walk directly away from the DJ booth with it behind your back, then take a sharp left and go the same distance over to the left. And obviously it's my birthday. So I mean, generally people are going to stop me anyway. And I had to say to them, I was like, they start a full conversation, and I really want to have that conversation with them, but it sounded almost like an excuse because it was so extreme. I was like, guys, the laptop isn't plugged in, and if I don't get the charger, the whole music's going to stop. So I'll come right back to you. And then they see you just run off like a madman. They're like, what's this guy doing? So I think maybe if we built like a slightly larger crew, like we've talked about for a while, like having Nana and Peter collab with us, and then they do like Bars of Bars and Hostmasters, and then Love Soul. And then at that point, everyone's just doing their thing, because you're right. Like that's one thing that I do feel like from an emotional point of view was missing. Do you know what I mean? I think we executed a really good event, But I'd really like to have spent more time like hugging, dancing, taking. I know a lot more people wanted pictures, which I wasn't able to pull off. So I'd like to be able to do that more moving forward.
It is tricky. And the thing is, Raj, it's as far as as long as you and I have been doing events together now, 16, 17 years or whatever it is, it's really only been me and you plus the people that we get around us. And everyone's been great. Like we always have good people around us, but it's just been that. We don't have a crew because events isn't our full-time thing. So it's just like you and me and then whoever we can kind of get to support us. So that's always going to be tricky unless we do something solid, like we partner and do something solid.
Yeah, partner or just have and we'll see what our energy is like come September when I'm back. But like, or we just have like a commencement lunch, or we reach out to the community and say, hey, listen, if you want to be down with us, this is what we're thinking about building. And if you want to join us, come and join us. But as a base, if you had me, you, Peter, Nana, Sal, Neda, a solid camera person, one or two others that understand how we work, and eventually some of that energy comes from our minds into their minds, and they're able to then replicate what we do and start to make decisions. If you can get someone up to a runner level, which is that they'll be able to execute on just quick decisions, reactive decisions, you basically got an all-rounder. But to get a really, really good runner, started off with runners. To get a good runner and a good camera person is the two hardest bits. If you can master either of them, and maybe the door, that trifecta is the holy grail. Because someone like me, I can do all of them. So you just need someone who can do all three of them, like any individual one. And if you can get those three people to support Vic or support me, you've effectively got double the capacity.
Yeah.
Because then typically at that point, no one's going to have like all the skills that I have, but I've got enough skills to support Vic. So if Vic's like, but, I can run for him, or he can run for me. But if we can get a runner underneath us, even if it's one, then now it has an exponential effect, because then you can just say something in short form, and then that can be executed really quickly, and you know that it's going to be done exactly how you'd do it, or within a 99% accurate level of how you'd do it.
Yeah, that's important, man, because it's difficult when you're making the decisions and doing the execution at the same time. And like, we can't rely on you because you're doing the camera work. Yeah. And that's as critical a Jenga piece in this whole thing as everything else. So really for me, like in my mind, I'm like, I can't ask you to do anything once you start filming, because I need you to focus on that. Like obviously before that we needed you, but,
of course.
But once you start filming, that's really kind of your only job. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a weird role that's kind of emerged in the last 15 years. It's just like the filming guy or girl has to pretty much just only do that because it's very... But to be honest, you did a fair bit of running at the beginning. Before you started filming, there was a lot of back and forth. Where it's just like, get this horn, get this whistle, grab this, get this cable.
We had to, like, there's no choice.
But we made the decision, and we don't want to get into the weeds, but we made the decision that the filming wouldn't start until we start, because there was so much to do ahead of that. So that's where we needed you for that. But once you start filming, that's basically
all I did.
And big shout out to like Sal and Neda for supporting on the night as well. Sal came a little bit early to help run the door and stuff. So
Sal smashed it that 1 hour. So for those of you who don't know, Sal is like the tall brown guy, 6 foot something, that is that's at our gigs, and he's running the door, and he's got really good at it as well. Do you know what I mean? Like he's really like coming into his own when it comes to that, and he comes from a hospitality background, ops background, so it's kind of easy for him. But he's I think here's one thing I realized about this gig is that the same way that my friends, your friends is a community around networking and friendship and meeting people, I think Love Soul could be a community in this city based around music. I really do. Like I saw that and I was like, and like you said, it was diverse, right? Now my phone book is diverse. Like it's literally people that are working challenging jobs and they've got challenging economic situations, right through to some real big hustlers like that came through. Like most people won't even know who they are. Do you know what I mean? Like there was dudes in that room and certain ladies in that room as well that were killers, like really in business were killers. And they just came and had a good time, and they dressed up and they loved it. And they also don't know this aspect of what we do, because they don't typically meet me in those environments. They meet me in a bit more formal environments. So I'm glad that they had a good time. Oh, shout out to like Sana as well. You saw that footage of me and her hugging.
Yeah, I did.
Sana, my friend, my agent, like brilliant woman. I remember when she started her company, Mina Speakers, we were sat on her balcony in Executive Towers, and it was like the beginning of her vision. She's turned it into an incredible agency. They can book me as well. But she just killed it. Had a kid, jumped, like, I don't know what she did health wise, but like she just looks younger than she was when I first met her. Inspirational, man. And she came out and she was raving. She knows the records, and she just came and showed mad love. Certain people that just pulled up that I was like, you know, like nice to haves. Like it'd be incredible if they pulled up, but you totally understand if they wouldn't.
Yeah.
And she was one of them. And Sean C, my parents are divorced.
Yeah.
Big up to him, man. That was so dope to meet him in person, because I'm a huge fan of his.
Oh, that was the first time you meet in person?
We never met.
Oh.
We're like Instagram friends. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
He's very, very funny.
Yeah.
And very chilled in real life.
mate.
Like,
Yeah.
he's not like, he's not like one of those like 24/7 characters. He's just a cool cat. Like when he pulled up.
Yeah, he's a nice guy. I had quick.
Did you talk to him?
Just like 1 minute, you know, that kind of thing. But, you know, we follow his content. He's extremely talented, very funny, and just, yeah, I think he's, you know, one of the better creators in Dubai.
Yeah, definitely
sure,
one of the
yeah,
better
for
creators
sure.
in Dubai. Yeah. So and someone took a picture. I don't know if he took it on his phone or we'll have to text him, but like somebody took a picture of the two of us together. I'd love to get that picture, because I think he's got a bright future ahead of him. So yeah, hopefully we'll find that. And I couldn't even begin to like say enough thank yous. I mean, and this is a thank you to everybody. But then as I quickly spin through my head, like, because I saw a little bit of the footage, like shout out to Kim who brought a hoop. I didn't even realize that she was hula hooping on the dance floor.
Yeah.
And a whole bunch of break dancers and dancers came out, and some people also brought anywhere between 4 and 10 friends by themselves, and those people only passed through the venue for like, you know, some of them only passed through for like 20-30 minutes. But just that rotation of people, we've never had such a big in and out number, I think, at any of our gigs before. And the total in versus out meant that the room always kind of felt fresh.
Yeah, do you know what? That's a really good point. We know we can normally predict the in and out number, but this one was a little bit more off the charts. And that's a really interesting thing. And as I say, there was different energies, different crews, different types of people, which meant that freshness was there, and the energy kept changing, but in a good way, like in a positive way.
Yeah, it's like two different parties. If you were with us at like 11:15 versus if you were with us at 12:45, you were basically in two different parties.
Yeah.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. So it was superb. So maybe we should look at that. But maybe what we do in Love Soul, it's kind of like Love Soul would be like, I mean, Love Soul's been established, but like it'd almost be like the Taste Buds, but for music, and we scale it right back down. So for those of you who don't know, a year and a half ago, whatever, we did an event called Taste Buds, which was my friends, your friends, but focused around eating together. It was a cool concept. I don't know if I'd do one again, but like it was cool. But maybe doing one around music and just getting like a really small room and just doing like, we've talked about Love Soul sessions and things like that before. So I don't know, after Bali, we'll think about it.
You mentioned something this morning about having a smaller venue for it, like for if we do a future boiler room event.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, it'd be more intense. I think we've also got to look at what's going on with the bug that's going around at the moment as well, because you know, I probably got 6 to 7 messages this morning being like, yo, I just caught it, I won't be able to come tonight, I don't want to be a spreader, so I'm going to stay at home. And mad, you know, more love to those people, because everybody who texted me, I really wanted there. But super love to those people, because it can be tempting to be like, well, you know what, I'm going to go to the party and do my thing. Massively irresponsible. So I really respect the fact that those people said, I really would love to come. This has happened. So somebody even said like, you know, my girlfriend got it last night. We shared a bed. I don't want to, like, we live together. I don't want to share. I don't want to risk it. I've not been tested, but X, Y, and Z. So yeah, mad love to those people. And also like events people came out as well. Like there were people in the F&B industry. Tamir Ali came out. Like these are people that actively work the industry. And for them and these are people that have to go to, you know, on a typical night out, they've got to go to 4 to 5 clubs. You know, Varsha Vin came out, big up to her. She looked amazing. She had to go from us to another nightclub opening. So yeah, man, I
met Tamir briefly at the very beginning of the night. So big up to him. He's from my hometown in Ealing.
Is he?
In London, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So we were just catching up, chatting. I was like, yeah, London. He's like, where'd you grow up and stuff? And we were just like connecting around like all the different places in London and East, like West London and Ealing and where we went to school and stuff. So yeah, that was cool, man.
He's the guy that pushed the Mazi and Pavan project.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, that's. I mean, I know him from before knowing him in that capacity, but he was the one that did that crazy concert that me and you went to north of the city near the airport.
Yeah.
That mad concert. That he organized that. Him and obviously Pavan and all them.
Yeah.
Shout out to their whole gang,
sick,
man.
Yeah.
Great crew. What else from that night? Any other highlights? So I want to I'm going to give a shout out to not only the venue, but I want to give a shout out to my very, very good friend, Harshana. Alliance Events. Just give them a Google, Alliance Events Dubai. They gave us all the equipment that we needed. They did us an incredible deal.
Yeah.
We and really we took the place to a whole new level. Like, again, thanks to Vic, we did an incredible spec. We had like moving lights at the top. We had like an incredible sound system. So I want to give him a shout out. Yeah. He always holds us down. Harshan is just a great dude. Might be pushing 10 years since 8 years now since I've known him. And he always like shows up, always on budget, always on time, multiple site visits. Also one of my agents on the DJing side as well. So also sends us business. But great dude. So Alliance Events, definitely show them some love. Anybody else?
Yeah, I mean, that's it really. I mean, the venue, the suppliers, Alliance Events. I mean, the staff at One Life, like V and all them, really solid.
Yeah.
They brought
really
wicked energy.
solid. Yeah, like energy was great. Everything felt like, you know, I know like the bar like was busy and things like that, but they were like on it. Ash and all those guys at the bar, they were on it, like really like slick, quick. You know, there was no like, I didn't feel like there was any kind of tension around the bar as such.
I think maybe at like at like the peak of the night from
being busy.
Yeah.
That's natural, but it didn't feel like anyone was like annoyed.
No, definitely.
You know, like people are like, oh God, I'm waiting so long. People fully understood it, could see them working, but the staff were great. You didn't really notice them, and they just kind of just did their thing.
They were vibing. Who was that talented DJ that was on before us? What was his name?
T-Bass.
Huh?
T-Bass. He goes to me, I go, what's your name? He goes, T-Bass. He goes, because I bring the bass.
Nice
guy, man.
Yeah,
he did a great job.
Yeah, he was.
Do you know what? So a lot of people said to me, like, who was your guy that was on before? Who opened up for you? I was like, he didn't open up for us. He was doing his own gig. And everyone was like, he was amazing. And even Pally was like, one of our friends was like, yo, I'd like to just go see him play. I'd like to go see him play.
Yeah, me too.
I liked his crew. I don't know him. And what was dope as well is that as soon as we walked in there, obviously we went behind the DJ booth, had a quick look around, and he came up to me and he was like, yo, like, I F with you and I love your stuff and I follow your stuff. And I was like, straight away, just show me mad love. And I was like, all right, wicked. Like, and you know, and then I said to him, I was like, yo, I know you're playing, but do you mind if we do a little bit of setup around you, like put up a couple of posters and whatnot? He was like, yeah, it's all good. So he was a really lovely guy. I would actually like to, does anybody have his number?
No, but we'll get it.
We get it. Let's go to one of his gigs when we come back.
Yeah.
This guy T-Bass, find him on, I don't have his Instagram or anything like that, but find him. He's very talented. An incredible DJ, really, and a classic DJ.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? He's got like that kind of like house DJ energy. He's massive. He's just got that little bop to him. He's just a cool dude, man. I really liked him. And he said, like, can we kick it a little? I said, yeah, once we set up, we'll kick it a little. But then, you know, the party. But we should definitely like grab coffee with him.
He kind of reminds me of like Carl Cox.
Yeah, I was about to say, literally.
So he's got like that godlike presence about him.
I think his Instagram is T-Bass, TBASS DJ.
Okay.
Cool. So, yeah.
Are you sure it is?
Well, I'm looking at it.
Otherwise, somebody else just got a shout out.
It's him.
Yeah.
It's him.
Yeah, it is him.
Yeah, that's him.
All right, wicked. Big up to T-Bass and follow him on Instagram. And when I come back in September, we'll go watch him perform somewhere because he's really good, really good. Okay. Otherwise, on the night, Whistles and Horns went down super well. Had a great time with that. Everything was good, man, and just super grateful. How nice that so many people would come out and celebrate your birthday and just have a good time and do their thing. For now, definitely feels like no more gigs, but let's see. Let's see after like what a summer off feels like. I think we might end up doing another one.
I think knowing Raj and you will eventually.
No, it's 100% guarantee we'll do another one. There's no doubt in my mind. Like,
just a matter of time,
dude. After every gig, this is the same conversation.
Yeah, literally.
It's been happening forever.
Yeah, but it's crazy though, right? Because at the same time, whilst like, you know, I've got like regularly talking to like, you know, running the business, regularly talking to accountants, client stuff. Although I'm not actively doing the client stuff, I'm aware of like what's going on. It's like the world gets so hectic that I think even for me at this one, doing a gig at this time was quite a lot of load. Plus doing London and then getting sick. And I looked at just this year, like 2022, we did the Edition opening. Like we did Love Soul at Papa, My Friends, Your Friends. There was at least one other something that we did. And then we had this gig, the birthday party. There was another gig somewhere else.
Well, no, we did the workshop.
The workshop, Like, man, it's a lot to organize.
It is a lot, yeah.
That's almost on average like one a month. Like one every 30 days if you look at it from start to end, from the first gig to the last. And so I think it's just a little bit much, but I love it. And I think maybe on a smaller scale, maybe Love Soul, when we create it again, it's just a small offshoot of the My Friends, Your Friends community.
Something a bit more curated, a bit more kind of, like smaller, not as hectic, something that has like some boundaries to it in the sense of it's like maybe it's theme or it's music policy or who brings the people. You know, I don't know what that is yet.
Yeah.
But, you know, when we do it, it's like open season, right? It's like we've got concepts, we've got ideas, and we execute on them, but then everything else is just like, let's just go, like everything. And that's what introduces all the independent variables that cause us a lot of stress. Good stress, but cause us the stress. So if there's something that is a bit more kind of like focused, maybe we can do something.
You know, it'd be quite interesting. Someone said like, why don't you just go to the same venue over and over again?
Yeah.
And I think for a music event, like for music, what you'd call like a property, like that's one weird area where it does work. If you take a residency in a venue, and even if you only show up once a month, people recognize each other, but they also, their energy fills that space out. So like, for example, Vic and I used to go to a party back in the day called Bombay Bronx in Notting Hill or somewhere like that. And the venue was part of the experience. Like, you know, when you're pulling up to it, you know how long you can expect to queue, you know what kind of security check you can expect going in, you know what the bar is, what the glassware is like, where the stage is, where the DJ is. So actually that familiarity does help. There's a coziness and a homeliness to music parties. So maybe, hey, listen, if you're a venue and you hear this and you want to, you know, do a little season with us, October, November, December, let's see, whatever, we could maybe even do something fun, but let's see. It all depends. No big decisions until Bali's done. That's what I'm saying on that one. Yeah. So speaking of which, we've obviously got to we've not much news we're going to be discussing today, but what we are going to look at is a little reflection on the highs and lows of the year. So let's start with Alex. that was a definite nod that Vic did.
Yeah, I don't mind starting.
Yeah, so let's go over not lows.
I think it's just highs.
Yeah. I think those two words just kind of go together so much that they just like slip out. But let's say highlights from the year. So Alex, you made an interesting point, which is today's not only like the last day that we're all working together and effectively the end of the classic like agency model and Alex producer operations, whatever I do mix, but like that journey started when?
A year ago tomorrow.
Yeah.
So basically full circle kind of.
Happy anniversary.
Right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this year was honestly amazing. So I'd like to thank both of you for that, because I think at start of my gap year, I was kind of like, what am I going to do and everything? And it was kind of like, I needed to figure it out. And then this opportunity presented itself, and it's better than I could have imagined. So thank you guys.
Pleasure.
And I think there was a lot of really good moments, especially since just like I've never been in this type of environment. So everything's new, and like seeing it for the first time was amazing. I think my top moment was probably meeting Gary Vee. I think that was really a moment that I really liked.
What was it about that? Just for anybody who didn't catch you talk about that the first time.
It's just I've been watching him for a really long time, as in probably since I was like 14, 15. So I think that's like a pretty like good amount of time.
Yeah.
And I saw him once in Dubai when he was doing a talk. I think that was 3 years ago. Probably 4 years ago, because COVID. Yeah. But so I saw him then, and then it was just really nice actually being able to speak to him, even though it's very brief. I just really liked the moment. It's cool.
Yeah. Not to humble brag as well, but it's also cool like when you get walked into a room as opposed to like, you know, when you're queuing to meet somebody.
Yeah, that's true.
And then you'll get your hygienic meeting. But it's and I'm only saying this because many people have done it for me, where people have just walked me into the room and been like, yo, this is my friend, or this is my man, or this is a guy who I've done business with, or in your case, this is a guy who works for us. It's like, it's very different. Do you know what I mean?
100%.
It's like somebody's like, yo, I'm with this guy like every day. Yeah. You know what I mean? He's a good guy. So I'm glad. Yeah. And I think that you and D-Rock are in touch now, and you know,
me and D-Rock are in touch. We've messaged a few times about things. He's always there if I have any questions.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, and watch how that plays out, dude. You know that you're still in the moment of it happening.
Yeah,
just watch how that plays out over 10 to 15 years. Like some of the people that I've been friends with for 10, 15, 25 years, it gets better and better. Like, if nothing else, the quality of the relationship gets better, and the amount that you're able to learn from some of these great individuals gets better. So good.
Then
Happy for you.
there you also met Sean as well, right?
Yeah,
Freestyle
Sean
that night.
Freestyle was also there when we met Gary Vee, which that was cool. I'd met him once previously, but as you said, it was on some like, just because he was like, I just saw him in the streets and I recognized him because he's a celebrity. I didn't like speak to him that time properly.
But
So,
you've also like connected with him and you like
yes,
back and forth as well, right?
Yeah, for sure.
5 million odd followers.
Sean's
Yeah.
crazy,
Yeah.
man.
He's like a celebrity, like
he's
a real like.
full-on-
Yeah.
He's so talented though, man. Like,
Really, I
on
mean,
his
he's
football skills.
number one freestyle champion in the world.
Madness.
Is he?
Yeah, I think like 3-time world champion.
Jesus
Just the nicest guy
Christ.
though, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's weird. I think there's probably a metaphor, an analogy, or something I've got to come up with when it comes to teaching, not on the content strategy side, but more on like the general business side.
Mm-hmm.
There's something about me and people from the football community that's a very weird relationship where it's like I almost get along better with people because I know I'm just not even going to want to start a company because there's so little interest in football at all. That almost like it's almost like, you know, when you lose your sight so your hearing goes up. It's like when you lose something that could super bond you with that person, everything else, like your love for music or other things, just kind of becomes more enhanced. Even when I told you some years ago, right, Vic, I became friends with the CEO of Emar Hospitality.
Yeah.
And everybody was like on his pants about hotels. And I was like, well, I was still kind of early in the hotel industry. And we just sat and talked about soul music from the 70s and became like good friends off the back of that. And he gave me an interview and all sorts of wild stuff. So
yeah, but
it's almost like a white space.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But I think that's exactly the reason why you have a connection, because you don't know anything about football. And whenever football's the biggest sport in the world. So whenever somebody do meet these celebrities, like all they do talk about is football
and stats
so
and numbers.
yeah, exactly. So they like that relationship of like being able to speak about something else, you know?
Yeah.
I think.
Yesterday at lunch, two of our friends that were at lunch, Sandip and Pally, started talking about football. And I was like, I'm just gonna go sit with the girls. Like I don't know what they're talking about. And I was like, talking about transfers or this or that. And I was like, let me go spend some time. I didn't actually move the conversation, but it's just like even when I hear people talk about it, I'm like, man, this is so not my bag.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
If you don't know anything about it, then there's not really an interest in it.
Yeah, because I rocked up as soon as they started.
As soon as
I thought,
they
let me come
started.
over and chat with you guys, like the other way around, because I was sitting on the
and
other
the football
side.
started.
And then the football started, and I just looked at Alex and just started chatting to him. I was like,
But
damn.
What else? Any other highlights?
Yeah, I also really enjoyed the Recipiters events because it's just first time going backstage. So that's something like I like just that experience. Like when you're a kid, you always want to go backstage, see how everything is. So
Do you mean
that
when you're a kid, like it's past tense.
bro, when I was a younger kid.
Yeah. When you're an adolescent. Yeah.
No, but yeah, so that was really nice. Just like also like you're just backstage, like what is there to not like about it?
Yeah.
And then also just building a relationship because I saw them more than once.
Yeah.
Just being able to like speak and like everything, it was really nice.
Getting cussed out by Clayton was a nice highlight as well, because that's a show of love. So
yeah. And then also just like not even seeing them just backstage, but outside of like event area,
Yeah.
So like it was really cool.
How do you think what's the effect of that? Like, what do you think will be the combined effect of that? Like the takeaway, knowing that you've kind of, because here's the reality, and I experienced it in my early days, not at the beginning of my music career, like because I was working in nightclubs and I was around music artists, so it's a bit, you can't really like embrace the anxiety because you're the boss, like you've booked the guy, you're physically paying him and
that's
whatnot.
true.
But later on, when I started to work with celebrities outside me executing a gig, I definitely felt like flutters. Like when I first met certain members of the Wu-Tang Clan and stuff like that, like you're inside under your skin, you're like, hold on a second, but now I don't feel it anymore. Now it's like, with a couple of dudes that you might meet here and there, you might feel it, but what do you think is the value of like getting that out of your system early? Or do you feel like a few more rounds? Or
I think definitely a few more rounds, because
fair,
even I think it definitely did help me, because you like once you get to hang out with these celebrities outside of like just seeing them on camera and online and everything, you realize that they're basically just like you, like off camera they're regular people, which you don't get to or you don't feel that when you're seeing them on camera. But I will need a few more rounds, because even when I met that videographer Sam Calder, Do you remember? I posted
At
it.
Expo?
No, not Expo. In my building.
Oh yeah.
Even then, I still felt like a bit nervous, you know.
Yeah.
Even just speaking to them, just because it's someone that I look up to.
Yeah.
But I also didn't feel that super nervous going up to like Russell and stuff, because I was with you too, and you have a relationship with him, so that makes a little bit of a difference.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I felt I guess being starstruck is natural. It's coded in
100%.
us. But the amount, the how much you get struck is what's variable. Like, I'll be honest, like, because we didn't know that Cedric the Entertainer was going to be backstage at the last show. And I saw him through a gap in a door in the room with Russell, and I was like, and the first thing, and it was great because my natural inner voice went, no, could it? Is it? You know what I mean? Like, and it was a nice. It wasn't like, sorry. It wasn't like, oh, he's here. Like, you know, make sure that you're cool and you got something interesting to say. It was like. It was much calmer. It was much more like eased in. Like, no, could this really be what is going to happen to me tonight? Is I'm going to actually maybe even get a chance to like talk to this guy? Like, that's so nice, you know. Like, more, it actually feels like gratitude more. It's like, oh, thank you, God, like for making this what happens to me tonight. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's a good way of thinking about it, because being starstruck is
anxiety.
It is anxiety causing.
Yeah.
And again, you know, not sitting here trying to like brag or anything, but you know, fortunately, I've been around a number of celebrities in my life and collectively with Raj, and the amount that you get starstruck reduces, or how you handle the situation, or what you kind of do, or actually where you feel you belong changes as well, or how you feel you belong. But that moment with Cedric the Entertainer, I think I said it on the podcast last time when we were talking about it, I actually was starstruck in that moment. But it was cool, like we chatted, and he was a really, really nice guy.
Oh, he's such a nice guy.
That was a moment for me that I was like, yeah, like this is a king. That this is in comedy. He's one of the goats. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you kind of go, oh man, yeah, that paved the way for a lot of what we look at in that culture. You know what I mean?
Certain people are like not human beings. Like certain people have like angel-like qualities. Like Cedric's one of those guys. They're God-level people. Like. They whatever they do, it doesn't matter really where they apply it, whether it's food, comedy, dancing, whatever. Like they've got the gift from the original source, whatever that may be. Like it's again, it's a frequency that only they can emit. I feel the same way about starting from scratch.
Oh man,
it's so great that he's a friend and we spent so much time together, and we did even car trips and just weird stuff. But you're still talking to somebody who's not a normal human being. You're still talking to somebody who's been given the purest form of the gift, and was lucky enough in this life to be born in a place where they can recognize it and act on it. You know, the people that have got gifts, you know, you always, you go sometimes to random countries and you just see a dude like with a whole bunch of like upside down bins, and he's making the most incredible music, like tapping on the back of the bins with like coat hangers. And you're like, yo, you could have been in Bon Jovi. Like you could have fully been in Bon Jovi as the drummer. Or you could have been like the guy who Phil Collins jams with to level up himself. But unfortunately, Yeah. So like, yeah, it's really special. For me, that's it. When I'm close to because then you're close to like the source. You're close to what it is that makes human beings incredible. So that's like, you're still going to feel that from time to time.
And I really liked that I didn't know Cedric the Entertainer when I met him, because it gave like a different, like, I just spoke, like when I said hi, how are you and everything, it was like, just like, I don't know who he was, just like regularly saying hi without like having to have any second thoughts about like how I'm gonna speak to him because of who he is. So that was cool.
Nice,
amazing. So that's you for the year. Those two.
Yeah, I would say those were the two biggest highlights.
Nice.
I mean, there's also the Stephen Bartlett at the Opera House, and then also Stephen Bartlett and Lewis Howes at the Aldar event.
What'd you like about them?
I think about the Aldar event with Stephen Bartlett and Lewis Howes, that was really interesting because we also got to see a live podcast of like which I think is very different than when you're seeing it on YouTube, which I really enjoyed.
So you shot Raj Kotecha's show with Clayton Peters.
Yes,
me
that's
and Vic,
true.
But that's us in it. So you're talking about seeing a client's podcast.
A client, and also with someone else who's like
not us.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Which I just really enjoyed being in that room and seeing it live.
Yeah,
it was nice.
That is, I never thought about that. That's cool. Yeah, nuanced, cool for sure. because it's not one of our properties.
Yeah.
It's one of our clients' ones, and you get to see the pre-production, production, and then you get to see it come
On
out. And
YouTube,
somebody else did post on it.
Yeah.
That's probably helped you because like you were involved in everything except for the edit, which the edit desensitizes you to the magic because then when you see it on the other side, when it comes out on YouTube, you're familiar with the nuts and bolts of it. You probably made some of the cut decisions of which when to change angles. So that's good. Yeah, I get that. That's cool. Yeah. I feel that way actually when I go somewhere where someone's shooting content and it's not me doing it, and then I see it afterwards on TV or whatever. You're like, oh yeah, like that's really special. I remember what it was like behind the scenes.
You see how the sausage is made, and then you eat it, but you don't actually make the sausage.
Yo.
Yeah, why'd you have to use this?
It's a common analogy.
Okay, so go ahead. Okay, so that's you wrapped up on that front?
Yeah.
Nice. What about just like the general raging and being leathered and being in clubs?
No, yeah, that's actually another thing because when I was in high school, like in the UAE, you're not going out clubbing, you're doing house parties. And then once you go to clubs, like it's very different atmosphere. People hold themselves differently in how you speak to people. So it was just interesting seeing that like dynamic. And like, yes, I went Mykonos last year, but that's not like the same type of clubbing because like you're on an island. So like seeing clubs in Dubai it was really nice. It was cool.
And it was good as well because you were able to extract all that value whilst still not drinking and leaving at the time that all under 21s are supposed to leave. So for you to learn all that but still leave before 8 o'clock and not drink was incredible. Next up, Vic.
I don't know, man. It's a weird one. So I've got like a few. So I'm not going to give you two, but I'm going to give you these like general ones. So, you know, we've been fortunate enough to live a life where we've met like Russell a bunch of times and like lots of people like that. But having them come over here, so hanging out with Russell and his crew is a big highlight for me this year because although we've done it many times before, it felt different this time because we were way more integrated with them this time round. We saw them 3 times in the span of like 6 months.
We did?
Yeah.
Abu Dhabi and 2 here. I didn't go Abu Dhabi, but yeah.
I was at all 3 of the ones here and then the Manchester one as well. So 4 times.
So you saw, I'm talking about specifically in Dubai.
Yeah, yeah.
So that was a bit of a highlight because it was just nice to hang out with them again. And, you know, 3 times in such a short span of time hasn't happened to us for a long time. Yeah. And that was really nice. You know, they've basically not changed as a crew. They've just got, apart from getting better, but they've not fundamentally changed their personalities and how they welcome people. And the reason I'm highlighting that is because what it shows is that for me, they're highlights because you feel good when you're around them. Yeah. And having those moments when you're not working, when you're not thinking about anything else, and you can just hang out and just feel good because they make you feel good. So it's a reflection of them as people and as characters. But if you can do that for other people as well, that's a good thing to pass on. So the hanging out with them was really nice. And then having Clayton on the show, on the podcast.
Huge.
That was a huge highlight for me because I've been wanting to do that in some form or another with him again since we had a trip with him in Bristol, driving back from Bristol to London. I think it was me, Clayton and Raj in the car after a show, and I was driving back and we were just chatting and he was just giving me game like the whole way down, and I was like, I need that conversation with Clayton again like that. And then we got to have it on the podcast, and that's like 12 years later or something like that.
So you guys hadn't, because there's a long gap between you guys seeing each other, right?
Yeah, I hadn't seen it for a long time, like a good number of years.
Wow.
Since I moved here, since Russell's O2 show, whenever that was.
When he turned 40.
Yeah,
so that was 11 years.
Yeah, 10, 11 years ago.
Wow.
Just when I'd got married or engaged around then.
Boy.
So it'd been a long time. So that was a real highlight for me to have Clayton on the show because, you know, again, we'd hung out, but to actually sit down and extract knowledge out of him, particularly where we are in our lives now, in our career now, in our business now, it's a different perspective, but as much like game and as much knowledge and as much as you can get out of him, he'll give you in terms of like that. So that's a big highlight. The Stephen Bartlett and Lewis thing, big shout out to Spencer for, you know, getting us involved.
Huge
in that.
shout out to Spencer Lodge, man. Spencer Lodge is like the first graffiti tag on the CCA wall that is the second, the CCA wall that is Dubai. First being bench events, but Spencer just changed our whole lives.
And,
let's be honest.
And consistently does and always does. You know,
Yeah.
he's always supporting, always helping out.
That's a name that when it comes up on WhatsApp or you see it come up on your caller ID, it's like if you got to step away from a table to take that call,
You
when
take that
Spencer Lodge calls, you take that call.
So he's always shown love. He's always shown like support, and he pulled us in to support him on this thing that he was doing. So meeting Lewis, meeting Steve, and just hanging out and just being there, that was a big highlight for me. More because, and again, not because of the celebrity thing, more because it's good to see how these newer creators, when I say newer creators,
Very good point.
how they work and how they think compared to what we've seen in the past, which is business people and also music artists and from that industry. It's interesting to see how these creators are thinking and how Stephen and Lewis talk to each other about the work that they're doing.
Oh my God, it's so
that,
true.
Yeah,
that's really
true.
smart.
It's a very good point.
And then of course you got Spencer in that mix because he would be considered the same kind of guy in terms of what he's creating. So it's nice to see how that works because then you pick up a lot of stuff from that. So that's
Can I just let me jump in on that? And I need to. Sorry, it's such a good point. Like when you see two new creators today, new school creators, established plus new school, sit down and talk about publishing frequencies, which just didn't happen in 07, 08, 09 when I was around these guys. People just didn't talk about like what's the right amount to publish your podcast. And I'm not saying who said it to who and where we heard it and but like you're right. You're talking about not even a new generation, but just like a new breed of people. Like Steven's in his 20s, late 20s now, probably. And the things that they consider versus just, it's different to like a pioneer or a maverick, like a Gary was when he was, around that age and we met him. It's like, man, that's such a good point.
They look at it as a science because it's become that now, right?
Yes.
Now, of course, they have art behind it. Because even when you hear people like Logan Paul talk on interviews and stuff, they don't approach it like we're just making content and putting it out.
No,
Yes.
They're thinking about it as a business, as an art, as a science, as, testing and, the whole thing, everything that we speak about, they think about it like that. And I think that's really important. And when you're around people who are achieving success in their chosen field, specifically because it relates to kind of what we do, that's important. So again, big shout out to Spencer for, he didn't do it because that's going to happen, but that's a byproduct of, him bringing us in on that project. So that's really good. Of course, the gigs, and I've got something really important to say about the gigs. We've done My Friends, Your Friends, as you mentioned. You did Audition, we did Papa, and we did Your Birthday. Yes, last year we did Taste Buds as well. And I think one thing is, I'm not on the decks as much as I used to be. So it's great to play music. It's a real happy space for me. Like a really happy space for me. But what I think is really special about doing these events in Dubai specifically is the community. And this is down to your hard work building the community and like making sure that they're always given value. They show love like you couldn't believe, and that's special for me. That's really cool. The way that they show up, the way that they show love, like there's no.
But how for somebody who's not experienced it? Because I'm sure it's different between us, like how they do it. I'm sure it's a lot the same, but like I'm interested to know how it is on your receipt. I want to compare notes.
Okay. So the first thing is that they show up. That's the first thing,
right?
Like, because you could have a community and no one comes.
Yeah,
like,
that's true.
Then it's not. Then it doesn't mean anything. But because of the value that they're given consistently, and they're just great people, but they show up. They always show up. They always show love. And if they can't, like you said, you get messages and support and this, that, and the other. So there's always that, and that's the first thing. The second thing is when they're there at whatever we're doing, they're involved, they're engaged. They're not just like hugging the wall. Like they're up, they're partying, they're dancing, they're interacting, they're meeting people. My friends, your friends, everyone's like chatting this. So they're fully engaged. And then the third thing, of course, is they show me love, right? So that they'll come up and say, how's it going? What's going on? Take a picture, chat, catch up. Haven't seen you in a long time, this, that, the other, whatever it is. But there's a proactive nature to the community here. And I think that's really important. You don't really need to force them or twist their arm too much. And that's what I like. And everyone's like just cool, man. Like so that's a big thing for me. And the events, like just doing them. as much as like I talk about it being like stressful and this and that and the other, and I just enjoy it. I love doing the events. It's cool, man. It's fun. It's a good place for me because it gets my like operational brain going. So it gives me a bit of a rush. But getting on the decks is cool, man. So doing something after Bali or whatever, we can figure that out. But the thing about the events is the community. Like they show up, they show love, they get involved, they're engaged, and I'd like to think they leave happy.
I'd say so. Otherwise, they wouldn't keep coming back.
That's a good point.
You know what's interesting though about that when it comes to the strategy behind building my personal brand, this is what one thing that nobody realizes is that you can build your personal brand, but when it comes to building a brand or a personal brand, it's like a video game, and the hardest level of that video game or the hardest setting is expressing it through events, because anybody can put out media, anybody can even become a successful creator. Like you can have a huge following on social media and you can be like the hottest DJ in the world if you want to compare apples to apples, like what I do with what other people do. But to express itself through people physically showing up, getting out of bed, choosing an outfit, whatever the case may be, waking up early on a Saturday, going out late on a Saturday, pulling up to your venue, being on time, being open to see other people, everything that Vic just described about the characteristics of the people that come to these events, that's hardcore. And whilst people think about like building your brand on social media, you got to think about yourself as a media company. The reason why I've won so hard is because externally, I'm a media company, but at my core, I'm a retailer. Retail is driven by footfall. So can you get people to physically move? That's why I was saying I can't think of many DJs that, unless it's a birthday or unless it's something like that, can just send a text or create a thing that moves people to a physical venue. And yet that's what promoters are telling you and venues are telling you. How many people can you bring? And there's such a pushback to that, like, why should I bring people? I'm a DJ. Well, that's the reality of the world we live in today. Or I want to book this venue to do a speech. Well, okay, how many croissants and coffees will you help us sell? That's what people are asking you to do. Yeah. And that's hard and that's challenging. And sometimes you feel annoyed or even disrespected when someone says, this is what I'm looking for. But if you play the game at that level, then actually the brand building all comes off the back of it. Yep. So I like the point that you made, because at the end of the day, it's like, yes, you've done this, yes, you've done this, yes, you've done this, but will somebody physically walk into a room or a space that you've dictated a time and a location to? And if they do, then you're winning, because you're playing the brand building game at the hardest level. If not, you're still playing the game, you're still playing the brand building game, but you're not on the hardest setting of that video game. Yeah. And that's what's definitely helped me differentiate myself from everybody else. And I think that's what, and I'm not saying that to brag or stunt on people. I'm just saying that if you want to play this game that plays out over 25 years like mine has, you start at that hard level and you might fail a bunch of times. How many gigs we've done that have just not worked out, right? But if you then go, okay, I lost, but let me reset, and I'm going to again make sure that my settings are set to the hardest level, because then after that everything else is easy.
Yeah,
does that make sense? What I just said?
100%. Yeah. Like, but that's the thing, right? Because again, social media or whatever it is comes and goes. Yeah, followers come and go. Yeah, algorithms change. You know, all of this stuff that we talk about week in, week out, and day in, day out. We talk about, but the value is in the value you give to people and the value that they give back to you and their community around them, and that doesn't happen on social media alone. And in fact, frankly speaking, it happens. The proportionate like amount that happens on social media versus real life, if you can do both, is way out of whack on social media. And not only that, it's not going to have the same value for both parties. Yeah, you know. And I'm not just talking about, you know, everyone says, oh, give value. Yeah, we get value out of it as well, right? You know, you brand building and this and that and everything. There is an exchange, but that doesn't just happen on social media, for sure. And that's been, like you say, like Retailer Son as well, same thing as you. It's just about people. It's just about people. How many people, how much value, what can you do? How can they communicate with each other? How can they communicate with you? How can they bond? How can they share? It's all of that. It's all of that. But the community here in Dubai, and you know, people talk about it. That's the last thing I'm going to say on this, is that, yeah, it's fleeting. Yeah, people come and go, whatever. But everyone's here for a reason. And if you can get those people to share their reasons and their values and their experiences together, doesn't matter if people come and go. The core of why they're getting together basically stays the same. And it's going to come and go. People are going to come and go.
It's like cellular regeneration, right? They say that your body, your cells change every 7 years. Well, my friends, your friends could be a huge event, will be a huge event in 3 to 4 years. And there might not be anybody who came to the first one. Everybody changed because they left or whatever the case may be.
But the core of what it's for doesn't change. And that's important.
Yeah.
But here's the other thing.
Same as you as a human being, right? Even if all your cells change, you're still recognizable when you walk down the street versus who you were 7 years ago.
But I think a lot more people are now sticking around in Dubai as well, right? They're seeing it as more.
They're going to from September when these new visas come.
So, yeah, exactly. So we'll see some differences there. But anyway, back to the point. Greatest hits. Yeah. So those, and I think my final greatest hit is actually doing this podcast. Changing it from interview format to ALGO has been was an amazing choice and decision to make, because it's allowed us to just talk about stuff that we would normally talk about. And it's cool.
Yeah, true. Actually, I didn't think about that one for myself, but I'd second that.
I would say that as well, and I also missed the parties. I didn't mention that. But
which ones?
Just all the parties in general.
Yeah.
The workshop, everything.
Yeah,
right?
everything.
Yeah. It's so real, because like it's a good point, because people, all these tactical people that talk about brand building online, they're not playing the game at the hardest level. So they might say to you, try to get likes, make your stuff shareable, ask for comments, all this stuff that they want interaction for the algorithm. But that's all still at the kids' table. No disrespect to any of them. Just understand what I'm trying to tell you, which is that cool. And these are kind of KPIs and metrics, but there's a whole level above that, which is, will somebody physically show up? Like, will somebody see, how many times we've been out and about, right? And somebody from across the cafe will come over to me and say, yo, are you Raj? We met through this person, da-da-da. That's not because I've made my face recognizable, but that's also because my brand is communicated to people that if you ever see me, come over and say hello. Like, it's all good. You know what I mean? Like, I've never been like a nasty person or made you feel like if you come over, you're going to have a bad experience. And these are the KPIs. These are the save buttons or the forward buttons or the likes and comments that exist in the real world. And if you can get folks to feel comfortable doing that through your natural human chemistry, you're going to do a lot better. I think and I'm only saying that, and I know then everything I'm saying like I'm doing stuff that other people aren't doing, but it's obviously clearly I must have picked it up from somebody else. And you see like people building communities like in the Indian community when we were growing up, all the way through to like the way that Gary's built his brand. But it's like, that's really, really real. And I think that's the level where the real success is. Like, I feel that way about, I've got very passionate when Tahir spoke about this. And when we first saw Tahir getting recognized, we were with him, and we actually started giving him different advice for how to respond to likes and comments in the real world. Like, when somebody physically sees him and says, that's a man I like, I want to go and talk to him, and I want to introduce myself, that's a comment, but that's in the real physical flesh and bone world. And you've got to make sure that you've got the human algorithm to help that grow, as opposed to just growing on social media. So, and I think that's definitely what's helped me like build my brand differently, is because I genuinely love people. I was having this conversation at lunch yesterday. I was like, people are like, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? Monetize this way. I was like, I'm already getting everything I want. I love people. You put me in a room with 200 people, I'm happy, period. If all of those people know who I am, I'm happy times 10. And if I'm able to do something nice for those people, like play music for them and make them happy, then I'm happy times 1,000. You know what I mean?
People can play at that social media game or the media game and the content game and still win. There's nothing fundamentally wrong with that. But yeah, if you want to because people talk about like, how do I move this? How do I push it? How do I grow? Well, you can't just grow on social media. You need more. And if they really want to do it, then that's what they need to do. Move people in the real world, or at least figure out the right way to interact with people in the real world, But yeah, if they want to play that game, that's cool. Yeah. But there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. But there is more.
I'm definitely going to spend more time reflecting on this, because it's an interesting point. So everybody who messaged me the other day from the party and whatnot, they were like, oh, I met your friend this person. You know how that happens. Yeah. I met your friend this guy. I met your friend this girl. And I was like, oh, dope. Like, I'm glad you guys met. And then what they say to each other at the beginning of their conversation is, so how do you know Raj? I don't know what's happened in this podcast that's made me think this way, but that's something I want to think about more, because it is the hardest way to do it. It is the hardest level to play the video game on. And I wonder if there's something in that. I don't know.
There's definitely something in there. Maybe there's a lesson. Maybe there's a teaching moment,
somewhere.
Alex.
Yeah. I don't know. Let's see.
All right, so those are my greatest hits. I mean, look, there's a ton.
Yeah.
But I just highlight some moments. What about you, Raj?
I would say, so it's weird because it's adjacent to what you guys have said a lot as well, but like very specifically, like in a narrow sense, because I see Russell from time to time and Clayton from time to time here, there, and everywhere. Hanging out with them here was, of course, definitely nice, you know. But I feel like if you ever get a chance to hang out with the Peters brothers, you should, because you're just you're gonna have a great time. You're gonna laugh. You're gonna eat good. You're gonna drink good. You're gonna become smarter, and you're just gonna leave a better person because they're just two good guys. There's a lot of crews that run around where the two guys are brothers, or something like that, like something similar to that. But theirs is like a really, really nice one. But more specifically, because I'm obviously closer to Clayton than I am to Russell, the most important thing for me, I think, was just getting, the first time we saw Russell in Abu Dhabi, was just getting a chance to say thank you to him. That's something that I've carried around with me for over a decade. And knowing that each time that we were able to spend a significant amount of time together, he was either I was just scrapping my way through trying to make something happen in and around parties, or he was just totally big brothering me in like big dog, little puppy type thing in LA, where we used to run around and, like, you know, he'd go shopping for cars and different things like that, records. It was just like the gap was just too big. And I feel like now that I kind of like know myself better, and I've also had some hits that weren't necessarily attached to the Russell Peters thing, it was nice just to be able to say to him, like, okay, here's who I am, like fully developed as of now, and I just really want to express gratitude. And I felt like sometimes holding on to gratitude is also quite, it's as toxic as holding on to regret. So you have to get it out. So it was nice to be able to say to him, like, I'm really grateful. And him, in typical fashion, was like, because I said to him, like, in case I don't see you again, he's like, why would I not see you again? We've been friends for 17 years. So that was nice. That was specifically a moment that made my life on the spot feel a lot better. And then I would say just overall, like, I'm quite proud of the last 2.5 to 3 years, the last 1 year, we've managed to make so much progress on the agency side in terms of our systems. Obviously, we had so much help from having Alex join a year ago, which was incredible and a huge move. So big up to your dad, Daniel, and also Paula as well, your stepmom. Like, big up to them for making that happen. And just overall, the progress that we've made, I feel like really, really happy and grateful for that, because it has been really difficult. And I'm noticing it now, the day before I go to Bali. Like, this is the one thing that people don't realize. Like, I wake up like more tired than most people do when they go to bed, just as a result of just the sheer amount of work, the sheer amount of meetings. And then any time where I'm not physically working, the speed that my brain's running at has started to like take a toll on, like, you know, my energy levels and stuff like that. Like, some nights I have to take Beechams just to go to bed because I'm so bunged up, I'm so stuffy. Like, and I know that to sleep well, I'm going to need like some sort of like medicine or whatever. So that is one thing where I'm like, okay, it happened because it was hard work mixed with good fortune. And so I'm just really grateful for like all the good fortune that we've had this year and all the love that people have shown. I'd say another highlight as well was going back to London and going back to the UK and just getting love from people there and being around people. Obviously seeing my parents was incredible. Not being able to see certain family members because I got sick was terrible. Losing Maya was a low. Actually, there was a low. It was probably the lowest thing ever, I would say. And yeah, that's it. I mean, but really just a phenomenal year, man. Yeah. And so nice to DJ, just at a fundamental level. Like, DJing and playing records at home on Spotify and in the shower is one thing, but getting a chance to like play records, I'm grateful for everybody who came out and said, I like coming to this thing of yours. I like coming to the PDR sessions, like the private dining room sessions, and I like coming to my friends, your friends. But say I'm happy to come out and hear you play records appealed to like this 18-year-old in me, because that's something that I've had. That's something you want recognition for your whole life. From the minute you start mixing records, you'd never want to listen to a mix by yourself that you've done at home. You need at least one other person to be like, yeah, that's a mix. So like, I'm really grateful for that. And just everybody, man. Like, for me, it's too big. And this podcast and ALGO and you guys jumping on here, very, very important. And actually the way that you guys have actually taken the company has been a highlight for me as well, because like, especially in the last 2 months, because a lot of the stuff that if I've got stuff, ways that I do stuff, if it's not quite right and it's only me responsible for it, I can adjust it as I go. But to see some of those things, like you guys do them, is amazing, because it lets me know that like something true and pure happen during the creative process that can be replicated. And I think as a business owner, if you can create things that can be replicated, that's like hitting a mix in a DJ set. It's like, oh, this is not just a good idea for me and the way that I work, but actually other people can do it. And then you combine that with like other creators that some of whom we've raised, then giving us game as well, like our friend Arjun, who I just love so much in general. But you know, one time he just made a point during a jamming session where we were editing something, and he just started editing the video backwards from the back to the front, because when you edit forwards, it's mistake, 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 accurate, mistake, mistake, accurate, mistake, 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 accurate. But if you edit backwards, it's accurate, get rid of the mistakes, accurate. And so once you've taken all the last things that somebody said in a scene and stacked them together, you've got your full scene, as opposed to figuring it out as you go along. Now, anybody who's an editor will understand what I just said. And it's been like miraculous. So yeah.
It really has.
Yeah. I can't think of, I mean, the thing with Russell was super important, and this podcast has been incredible. Yeah. Everything really.
The progress we made on the 4 Ps as well. I think just as a kind of final point on that, you know, we've advanced our thinking even more so. Like day in, day out, week in, week out, month in, month out, we've advanced the way we think about content, strategy, and a lot of it because we're thinking about how we're like, you know, changing the agency model and, you know, the education business. But we've made so much progress on the 4 Ps. It's astounding. You know, it's a different thing altogether now. And like, I'm really proud of that work. Very proud of that work.
Actually, to your point, so firstly about the 4 Ps, like the 4 Ps of content, we made a lot of progress on that. It was incredible to be accepted on Jack Hopkins bootcamp. Yeah. So I would say like a guy who I look up to a lot, who's been helping us for the last 3 months. We've not mentioned his name until today, but he's been basically working on our program with us, and he's the world's leading expert on this. So to have him bring his thoughts to this has been incredible, and immediately impacted the people that we teach. Yeah, I would say that's definitely a huge thing as well. And it's a proud moment to actually finally launch that business. I mean, I remember when I came to Soho years ago, you were still living in London. I brought you this yellow deck, and I was like, this is what I'm going to do. And that must have been at least 4 or 5. No, I mean, you've been living in Dubai. You've been living in UAE for how long?
It was maybe 8 years ago, maybe even more.
I'd say from a professional point of view, that's the thing that I'm actually definitely most proud of. Like definitely, like, because I've been trying to do that for so long. And actually what was missing, the missing piece in all this, actually, truth be told, is that because the difference between like working with this guy, Jack Hopkins, who's one of the best in the world, is that normally in this field, because I spend most of the time thinking about it, when I talk to people, I'm typically the smartest guy in the room that's talking about it. To have a mentor who can outthink me and give me decisions and put me underneath him at a hierarchical level, like from a thought process level, was number one variable. And then number two was just having Vic to like kind of co-author it now. Do you know what I mean? Like to actually be like, I think this, you think this, okay, this is right. Like it's the same as when we do music, it's the same as when we do gigs. And because I'm prepared to when we co-work on things, although I'm still leading it, I'm very, very quick to be like, that's better than what I thought of. Let's do your version. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, I think that's definitely helped, is that Vic's been like a massive accelerant. Do you remember we were going to go to that talk at that golf club? Who was I with? Yeah, I think I was driving. I think you were in the car. And I was the wealth room.
Yes.
So we got in the car, and I was like, hold up. And I just put some music on, and I was starting to just in my head.
Yes.
I was just voicing what I was going to do, like my intro, outro, and I didn't have it when I pulled up.
Yeah.
And then we were walking up the stairs to the golf club, and Vic said something, and I was like, oh, that's the angle. And it's just a certain like, just like a clarity of thought. It's almost like a comfort blanket. It's not a fat joke. Yeah.
That's what I said afterwards. I said, I'm a muse.
Yeah. So I think that's been the biggest.
Google it.
Yeah. That's been the biggest thing about it is to be like, to have Vic's full attention, which is the reason why I say like, work this much, you need to work on clients, but I need you to help me think through these bits so that these bits can become a reality. So overall, I mean, it's been a good year, man. Like it's been a really good year. Even having the option, like during sad times, like our aunt passed away in December, like during really, really sad times, to be able to go out and to go to other cities and like people show you love, and like you're actually even able to perform for a couple of these people, like Zanzibar and Nairobi were like really great moments. So yes, very, very narrow, the Russell conversation, very, very macro, just like the compound effect of all of this hard work, man. And you guys, of course, magic. You know, this has been a very dangerous combo of 3 people, and it's hard to be the third person with us.
Yeah,
I'm sure you can attest to that. Like,
yeah. I mean, it hasn't been easy.
We've been around each other our whole lives and working together for almost half of it. So it is tough.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely not easy, but it's not impossible.
Yeah,
No, it's true.
yeah. A lot of people are broken in a tenth of the time that you did. Like literally, like there's been people that have been around a few days. I mean, the previous producers that we had, right? Like even in the last 2-3 years, like during 2020 and all that, we had guys come in broke. Either their needs were too high and they weren't patient enough to grow to meet their own, because your need is your specific need. And you're going to start with us at a certain level, and it's your responsibility to go and fulfill your needs in our machine, not our responsibility to change the machine to give you what you want. And so in that situation, you've got to be like, okay, am I going to leap over from my cliff face to your cliff face? Am I going to do the leap to be stood next to you, or are you going to leap next to me? And quite frankly, I'm not going to leap over to anybody, because I'm leaping over to somebody who hasn't done what I've done. So you've got to leap. And what you've done is, by just sticking with us, you've leapt. Whereas other people will be like, yeah, but I need this salary, I need this, I need that. Well, okay, if you're not prepared to leap, then you need to go somewhere else where you can directly go and get that today. And I, like I said to you, whether it be your experience, whether it just be like your overall like cool and your swagger as a result of being in some of these rooms, putting effort into desensitize yourself to certain situations, whether it be pressure or relationships. It's nice that it happened now, but you're still in the moment. So it's been 9 months, but it's still happening.
Yeah, for sure.
How this plays out over 10 to 15 years is incredible, and I'm a little bit jealous, to be fair.
Yeah, there you got a good future ahead. But you've definitely, and from my personal point of view, you've definitely, no questions asked, you've basically just done everything that we've needed from you and asked of you, and more. So I was telling Raj the other day that during the last like few weeks, you know, there's a lot of client work that I needed to get done based on like where we are, the timing and everything. There was a couple of days where I didn't even speak to you. I just knew you'd get it done because you knew what you had to do. Small example, but very important. But
ALGO's a great example. ALGO is what you produce now, and it comes out about there or thereabouts, or about right.
Sometimes. Yeah, I mean,
give or take.
If I feel like it.
within a 48-hour to 72-hour window, it'll come out.
Yeah. So this is ALGO with no news and reflections. I know as soon as we wrap up, there's going to be something else, but we'll talk about that next week. So next week, Alex will be in
Switzerland.
Vic will be in.
This week I'll be. Friday next week. No, I'll be in Dubai still.
Oh, you'll still be okay. So fine, still spicy.
You'll be in Bali,
and I'll be in Bali, and then the week after there'll be another change where you'll be in. Maybe Mykonos.
No, it's still Switzerland.
Okay, but Vic will be in Portugal and I'll still be in Bali. So future episodes are going to be a little bit more of a mixed bag. But make sure both of you have got a lot going on. Please do something with your lives whilst I'm not here. Like, do something interesting. Go out.
I'll try. I mean, we'll see what happens. I'm sure I'll be doing some stuff.
Yeah, get drunk, put on a blindfold, cross the road, and then come back and tell us about it.
I'm spending a lot of family time, though.
That's good.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
So, we'll see. But I'm sure I'll be doing something.
Content recommendations, news, we're all going to be leaning on all this stuff. Even my life's going to go from what it is right now to like 90% less, because I'm sure most of my day is just going to be looking for coffee and salad and driving my motorbike. So, you know, whatever we talk about is whatever we're going to talk about.
Driving his motorbike.
Is that what it's called? Shows out I'm just the same as like football, right? I'm terrible at driving. So I guess scooting my scooter, whatever. Riding my scooter.
Scooting my scooter.
Riding my car.
Like no. Scooting my scooter. I like that.
Yeah, I'll be on my scooter. Just living that hobo life. Thanks very much, guys. Good, amazing internship. Well done, Alex.
Thank
Incredible
you so much,
work.
Guys.
Any shout outs? I don't want to open up a can of worms. Any specifics?
Not just say like
shout out to everybody.
Yeah, shout out to everybody, and actually just shout out to my sister as well, who's like my on paper is my business partner. And so we have to make decisions. We always have things that are new because we're living in a new market, we're living in a new economy, and rules change. Rules evolve, and you have to evolve with them, and sometimes that can be a little bit stressful, and we're constantly throwing each other additional responsibilities. when it comes to running the business, but she's done incredibly well. So we've both done well, but like actually, you know, and she's my little sister, so we've got the brother-sister dynamic, as well as being the fact that we've got to be responsible custodians for a legal entity that's tied in to the country. So that's been, I'd say, you know, I'd give her a big up and for, you know, her support, and my brother-in-law Wes and Shayla and Ine just for like jamming and just chilling and not giving two F's about what we do per se. He's actually, he cares in the sense that he's a great hype man, and he gets like, you get to see like, what's interesting about Ine is, and yesterday we got to hang out like, we haven't hung out.
9 hours.
We haven't hung out like that way for a long time. He basically sat with me a bunch of the day, and what's cool about that is that because me and him, I think we have a lot of overlap in terms of our traits. Now that he's the kind of age that I remember myself being when I was his age, the stuff that gets him excited in terms of like his ability to either command or control attention, which I developed around that age as well. It was really, really nice. And then as a result of that, when we do talk about stuff, you hear him speak about it in a very raw, truthful, childlike, excited way. And it kind of reminds me of the things that started to excite me when I was his age. So sometimes me and him watch DJ sets and stuff. And when you see him consuming that, you can see him like forward imagining, will this play a role in my life? Or I'd like it to. And so it's nice because I really enjoy that, because like, I feel myself 8 years old again when I see him getting hyped about stuff. Specifically the stuff that we both like not in general, but like the stuff that we both like is really dope, because it's like, it makes you feel excited again. And, but of course our whole family has just like held us down. And of course all of our immediate friends have held us down. Anybody who's like sent me some Tupperware with some food in it, mad grateful for that. And
Yeah, you said it already, but I did want to shout out Shayla as well, my wife, because the last year has been, you know, it's been crazy, as we know, but because of what she does in the house and how she like holds herself, it's allowed me just to be like free. And she's always been like that, and it's cool. And like, we had that conversation yesterday, but like, I don't have to think, worry, stress, nothing. So it's allowed us to work late nights, be out, be in, you know, work from home, work from it. You know, just, it's all been mad, and it's always crazy. But the good thing is I don't have to think about it or worry about it or stress about it from a home perspective. So that's a real, like, you know, that's a big difference for guys particularly. And I'm grateful for that.
Shout out to Flo as well, by the way, just a little addendum, because it just puts me under pressure
to
make sure the show's better. Yeah, so like, shout out to him.
I'll give a shout out to just my whole family, my dad, my mom, my brother, and then my stepmom Paula, just my dad and Paula for hosting me for these last 9 months, and also Paula for getting me this internship basically.
Nice.
And then just my mom, my dad, and my brother, just for being them, you know.
Amazing.
Cool. Yeah.
Wicked. Great first season. If you're listening on Apple Podcast, give us a 5-star rating and review. YouTube gang, subscribe, hit the like button. We really appreciated your support. We don't have the biggest audience or community behind the podcast, probably one of our smallest ones, but definitely one of our most impactful ones. Spotify gang, 5 stars would be amazing. We kind of mixed up a bit of a gratitude there with a call to action. but yeah, really appreciate it. And I think that's everything. I'm looking forward to the regret of all the things I wanted to say as soon as we switch off recording. And we will speak to you next week, all remote, on the show. Really appreciate your support. Much love.